Okay, so it's 6:30. This is going to become power hour in the garden with me. Well, good afternoon, friends. I sure do love these longer days because we have homeschooled hard, daily life hard. That sounds like I'm saying it was hard. We've done all the things. We've done them well. We've been full steam ahead, and I think it's 5 o'clock now, and I can still go outside for several hours and get stuff done around the farm. We had baby pigs born yesterday. I've shown you briefly the baby meat birds that were brooding. I've just now sat for about an hour or so because I had to do some mama afternoon work while the kids have been playing and having a great time outside. But now I get to go outside and do things. So let's go do things outside. Okay, so Mama Pig got up to eat some more. Now yesterday when she had the babies, we put a bunch of molasses in her water. There's so many of the cute little babies. There's another one. Now they have been nursing in the sun. Mama is still up eating, so now they're just having a nap. I promise. They may not look like they're sleeping, but they are. Here's our big red peeps having some grass time. Oh, they like that. They like that grass pecking.
This guy's eating his little pig.
He's having a nice time.
I love his fluffy head.
So this is the mystery chick. Whenever we ordered our meat birds, they usually ask for bigger orders if you want a free mystery chick. So you all can help me identify what this chicken is. We do know he has a fluffy head. There's another one enjoying some grass. These are a few of our meat birds that we are raising. We're raising about 70 or so. And on this day, this was filmed earlier in May, and the kids had them out for the first time on grass. Now fast forward, all of them are out on grass. Okay, so it's 6:30. This is going to become power hour in the garden with me. My original plan was I would work from 5 to 7. By 7 we go in, get cleaned up, eat at 7:30. That's okay. Now I'm just gonna bump that on. Everyone's having a great time. We spent a lot longer with the pigs and the chick. I'm just not getting to the garden. Let me show you what I got here. So I have more tomatoes. Most of these are indeterminate, so they're gonna need fencing and staking and arches. We're working on it. But I have them from my local John Henry General Store, and then also more marigolds. So I'm going to try to get these marigolds in the ground. I think I might have some determinate tomatoes in there too. I know I have some more peppers. Get those in the ground and work on more seeds. And so now I am just hauling flats of vegetables and flats of marigolds over to the garden area to hopefully get some of these in this evening. And since it's evening, I'm going to go down. I'm getting the sprinkler going, and we'll move that around the garden while we're working on our garden power hour. We have a complicated hose system in life going for sure. Okay. Yay. And don't worry, once we get the big garden in, we're taking over. We're doing these beds. Everything I want growing in here is growing, and I think I've come up with our solution, like for the poison ivy and such. Yeah, Jamerrill, we're gonna do landscaping fabric over all of this and then mulch. It's a good time of year for us to do it because we can see like my daylilies, my ornamental grass, some more lilies, of course all the hostas. We can see everything growing where I want it to grow and everything growing where I don't want it to grow. But it's gonna have to wait till we get the food going. Now here's just the sad state of how all my tomatoes are looking. Now it did rain yesterday. I was hoping that it rained enough to water the tomatoes, but they are not looking happy. So we will hand water these when we're done using the sprinkler on the larger parts of the garden. We'll at least water them at their base. We went around yesterday just snipping off the leaves that were down touching the dirt. I've been watching all of Jess from Roots and Refuge, all of her tomato knowledge. I know from her now that the tomatoes don't like the splashback of the dirt. There's just a lot of things happening here with the tomatoes, but I mean, some are looking good. You know, these guys, actually those I just got in the ground yesterday. Many of these are Romas. They're the paste tomatoes. They're not Amish paste. These are determinate. Okay, this is one I googled that said it's probably a Roma and that this is determinate, but the Amish paste that we have in there are indeterminate. Well, that was up close and personal. Got my camera there too a little bit. Just trying to get, I probably need to move it. It's hard to get these two beds on the end here. I also take it and just hand water a little bit before I move it just to make sure. And I absolutely love my sprinkler, and I'll say, future videos you'll see, Travis did a good repair on our hose system, and I've got my pressure up on my sprinkler in the coming days. And these are just 4 sweet banana peppers, so we're gonna get these in the ground here. And I'm not really digging, you know, it's a no-dig garden, haha, but I'm just pulling the compost back. And I'm just continuing to add more peppers in to get our whole pepper area going for this year. Alrighty, so been getting caught up on everybody's day as they get home too. So we have these M.I. Gardner Italian striped zucchinis. Now I want to tell you something that I didn't realize until yesterday. Learning things all the time. I just didn't realize that the zucchini seeds that I have and the squash seeds I have, other than, now I do have squash or winter squash that is a true vine, but the yellow squash that I have is a bush. And this zucchini is a bush. Look at us, we're learning things in the garden. Last year, they did grow in bushes. I still had cages there for support, but it just didn't really sink in that they're bush plants, not vines. Something new, right? Something new for me. So I just have my square foot gardening square. I can probably fit about 25 of these in this bed. Now I do have some dahlias here and I know that they're gonna get big, but the way that the sun comes over, the sun rises in this direction, sets over there, so we should be good as far as that goes. We're gonna start getting these in the ground. So it says summer bush, Italian striped zucchini, prolific producer. Don't worry, someone is with my children. Takes 5 to 10 days to germinate. It says plant spacing 36 inches, but I'm a bit of a rebel. We'll see how that works out. Doesn't always work out for me. So I'm using my gardening square just to help me eyeball every square foot or so there and doing a seed in the middle. I thought that would work pretty well in these raised beds. I'm doing gray zucchinis in this bed, and I also do a bed full of the Italian striped zucchinis. My hopes and dreams are to eat a lot of fresh zucchini and to also freeze dry a bunch of zucchini and put it up that way as well. I have heard from some folks, I want to say it was our friend Jessica from Three Rivers Homestead. She has shared about replacing eggs in recipes with zucchini. I believe it was her. There's a lot of things we can do with zucchini, and I just love zucchini for breakfast. So let's try to grow a bunch of it. And if it doesn't work out, let's buy a bunch of it from the produce auction. That's my backup plan. We also do 2 different types of bush squash, so we will have those coming up as well. And I do some acorn squash too. Let me know in the comments what you have direct sown this year and what is coming up in your gardens. I can report from the future that a good bit, much of what we planted on this day has germinated and is growing well, which you will see in future videos. There were a very minor few areas that I needed to come back and sow a few extra seeds in. So things are definitely moving along nicely. I do wish I would have had my pelleted radish seeds or had known the mixing a little sand with the radish or carrot seeds whenever I did this, but that's okay. We are learning. We are doing all kinds of things. I have since received pelleted carrot and radish seeds. I ordered those after this video, and I'm planning to use those for a bunch of fall gardening. And now I am just moving my hose on up. I have learned even more watering with a sprinkler tricks. And now that so much of my garden is in, again, in the future, things are just going really, really well with my little sprinkler moving around in the evenings or in the mornings. Here's a little evening goat on a log for you. Goat on a stump, actually. And now we are going back at it in another bed. I'm just reading my seed pack there quickly. Many of the seed packs just depends on what we were planting. Some things like the bush beans needed to be about 6 to 8 inches apart. Then other things needed to be 18 inches or so. I know my acorn squash said, I believe it was 32 inches in between each one. And then there's other different squash varieties that we plant on the trellises as well. I have also, since this video, received the little gardening kneeler seat that's good for the knees. It's not so bad in my jeans, but as the days have gotten hotter and I'm in shorts and such, it is nice to have that as well. Or I just drag a piece of cardboard from raised bed to raised bed. But this was the heavy in bed planting week where I really worked every evening as much as I could to get a lot of things direct sown. And here I am making little lines there where I am sprinkling in radishes to continue on. Okay, well, let's see here. Okay, so this bed is planted with our Italian striped zucchini, and I have these little blue sticks, and so I just wrote Italian striped zucchini and zucchini again on the other side, just as a reminder of myself of the main thing I planted in this bed. Now I also interplanted radishes, and then over here we have the early prolific summer squash that I put a little label for there, and then we also interplanted radishes. So I still have probably about 7 or so of these. I'm going to go ahead and just keep planting this bed with it for now too, so doing the squash and the radishes together. I think this is dinosaur kale. And then we do have some dahlias. The kids were dahlia happy whenever we were planting those, so I know those will get big. But there's probably some room in the middle there that we can plant some things as well. And we still have this bed to do seeds in, and this bed, that bed. Yesterday we did that bush acorn squash, and then this bed still needs seeds. So lots of beds to continue to interplant seeds in. And also, so we're done watering this with the sprinkler. I have the water turned off now. We need a bigger well pressure tank. You know, you can just hear all my life problems, but anyway, got to give our hose breaks. So after I plant this next bed, we will go and hand water all those poor little tomatoes that are oh so sad. But the good news is we have a well pressure tank upgrade that is happening in June. We just had to wait several weeks for our plumber to be able to come out. I have, well, let me tell you my plumber sagas. I had a great plumbing company that came out and did everything all the time for us in the 60-year-old house. So sometimes I would call them, like if my bathtub was stopped up or I had my sink in my baby kitchen not working, and they were super helpful, and they even did all the plumbing for the Mega Mama kitchen. But then I would call them for things and I hadn't heard back from them, and I have since heard that they are just so overwhelmed and can't keep good help and just can't keep up. So I totally understand that. So I have found another plumber. I know that you all needed to know this, but it is important in the Jamerrill matrix with my well pump, because we have, no, not my well pump, my pressure tank. I didn't understand how all these things work, and I still might not be explaining it right, but we have apparently the smallest possible pressure tank, and if we get a bigger one, it's going to help with all the water usage in our house. Like now, if I water the garden for an hour, I have to, you know, let's just say I might need it for 15 more minutes. I need to go ahead and turn it off and give it a break. Or if we're watering our animals, or if someone's also taking a shower, you know, a lot of things can affect our water. And so apparently this bigger pressure tank is going to be all of our hopes and dreams. So we're excited about that upgrade coming up, and it will be good because I am running the sprinkler on my garden, like I say, either in the mornings or in the evenings. The watering is happening. It really just depends on our day. Many mornings I've been getting up and getting out to have my coffee and my Bible time. I've just been having it in the garden, and while the sprinkler is running, I'll set it for 5 minutes at a time in a certain section, and with it running it can get a big portion of the garden, and then I just set a timer on my watch and move it around. Sometimes I'll leave it in some areas for 10 or 15 minutes even, and I just read my Bible and drink my coffee in between time. Try not to get too distracted doing actual work in the garden. But I've been doing it in the morning, and that's good because I don't have a whole household up using the restroom, getting showers, not necessarily watering animals yet at this early when I get up to do the garden. Or some days, if our day is just so busy and maybe I couldn't get up earlier or wasn't able to put that time into the garden, then I will just do it later in the evening. So all has been working well with getting this watering in. I know I had bought on Amazon some raised bed irrigation systems. I have to, well, it's on Mr. Travis's list. So right now I'm telling myself, maybe by fall we'll be able to look at that and get those installed, at least for next year. But I don't think we'll be able to do that yet. But sometimes things go a lot different than I plan. He might be doing that for me right now as we speak. But anyway, moving around the sprinkler has been working just fine here and keeping everything nice and watered and healing the tomatoes, the tomato saga, and many things have been working out. And I was telling myself I was going to use my grow lights and get some more things started inside, but really I just put a lot of time into direct sowing. And as I said, so far so good. So far so good. We will see though. I have many things I have since planted, and we're in the early time of waiting to see if they've germinated or not. You will see those adventures in upcoming videos, but we're getting there and we're doing things. Okay, so bonus points. We got this bed also with the early prolific summer squash, and this bed that I wasn't even going for, but inspiration hit. All of these are interplanted with various radishes. For instance, these are the German Giant from Seeds for Generations. My friends Jason and Shannon, and some of these have French breakfast radishes interplanted. Hopefully it all works out in the end. I can tell that this bed here, it looks like it missed the whole fresh layer of compost for this year. I see there might be a shovelful or two, but it's not like the whole top. So I'm definitely gonna go for a 4th round of compost delivery as well, because I still want to do a great many things. So I will get that bed, but hopefully it's okay. I mean, the kale is still there. Here, I think we've had 2 or 3 goat extravaganzas that I've mentioned to you. And one time when they got out, they went for the strawberries, and that's what happened to some strawberry plants. And then in here, they must have also pulled up some kale. So hopefully I'm growing enough to share with my random rogue farm animals. Now, folks have asked me how we keep animals out of here, and our barnyard that's behind me here is totally fenced in. This is like probably an acre, anywhere between half an acre, no, it's gotta be more than half an acre, 3/4 of an acre. Okay, we have this nice open barnyard area, and animals have their designated fenced off areas, but then we let them out during the day into this big barnyard area. So, chickens and dogs and goats and the sheep and all those critters will be out here together. And then we have a path up into the woods they can go to. And then the pony, he has his own fenced area. He does not get to come and play in the barnyard. But saying there's a fence here. Here's what I've seen from goats for the last 3.5 years that we've had goats, is that the older the goats get, they got more time to think up stuff. So some of those goats we'll get creative. We've had to put carabiners on a lot of these latches because they've learned to like go up if we have a clasp like that. They've learned to open the gates and let themselves out. And if a child or a mom forgets to buckle up anything just right, they're like, oh, I've been waiting my whole life for this. Let's go try to eat a strawberry plant. So it could end up being that we end up fencing in this garden area if it happens too often and breaks my heart. Right now, it's early, my heart's not broken, but we'll see. I definitely will cry if they get in this lasagna garden, but there's no time to do. This is a big area to fence. Last year, it was okay. Last year, we had goats and chickens and all the same critters, and actually last year, I didn't see them get into it at all. So, hopefully it was just a fluke, a couple flukes. Okay, so I need to write a little tag for that one again, just so like I know that one's done. And that leaves me one over here out of these 6. This one with the broccoli still needs a bunch of interplanting going on. And my cat is digging in the bed and fertilizing the bed. Why? Why? I saw that, what's their channel name? Oh, Homesteading Family. I saw that they have a video out about how to keep cats out of the garden, and I don't know if it's necessary or not, because usually they're just playing, but yeah, I don't want you scratching stuff. Do you have to do that? Please? So, why have a big garden besides feeding 11 plus people? Critters. And as far as other critters, again, this is our 3rd year, going into our 4th year. Is this my 4th season here? I don't know how to tell anymore. We moved here and that didn't count, and that was a growing season. Anyway, we've been here a few years, and we do have Great Pyrenees, and so they keep the riffraff away, just them being on the property. At our last property, they kept the bears away from the house. The only time we would have bears and coyotes up in the yard or up at the front door is the rare times that the dogs would be in a kennel because we were getting ready to go on a trip or whatever. As soon as their bark, their presence was off the property, it was like all the national forest came to visit, and that's why we got them. So, that cat, why? What is left? So I'm going to stop seed planting tonight, but I'm going to go and hand water those tomatoes, and then while I clean up my messes for this evening, which is like, you know, my 20 empty seed packets, I think. Not really that many, but you know, a bunch of seed packets. While I clean up, I'll just put the sprinkler on the peppers because I think it's fine for them to be watered down. And this has been a nice evening in the garden.
And as I had shared, I did film this video several weeks ago in May, so future Jamerrill here recording this voiceover. In the next week, I'm going to film my June garden haul. Nope, not garden haul. My June garden tour. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm excited already. And boy, it looks so different already, even comparing how it looks now to this video. I am so glad to have this footage so we can look at the progress, and I can't wait for you to see how this is progressing. I've learned so many more things already between here and there, and I'm still very hopeful and excited that this is going to be such a great gardening year for us. All these little baby tomatoes are growing up really well. They've grown many inches since this video. So just again, speaking from the future, that we're doing it, things are going well. And in the very next video, you're going to see what we add to this space that definitely pulls it together even more, and we get even more things planted. So I am just working now on babying these tomatoes, and I'm aiming the sprinkler down at the base of the plant so I'm not watering directly on the tops. At least I'm trying not to. But sometimes with my tomatoes, I just, I have soaked them just to get them to perk up. I know that's not the best. I know that can cause other issues. In the past, I've had issues with blossom end rot. I've never had blight. Now, I've probably only raised tomatoes, though, 6 or 7 times. So, not expert level amounts. Just, I've dealt with the blossom end rot. And so, hey, let's see if I can give my tomatoes blight this year. That's one of the things I hear about that a lot on YouTube. I hope I don't experience it. Some days the best I can do is to turn the sprinkler on and not babysit it in the garden. You know, I'd put it on and let it do its job. I have to watch my little pepper plants there, but oh yeah, I cannot wait for you to continue to see this garden develop because so much has come together. Alrighty, I'm going to let that sprinkler go for a few minutes. This is my ride on how I'm getting my garden box back to the house. I'm just keeping this in the kitchen, by the kitchen door every night, and wheeling it out here every day as we work on getting a few more beds planted every day. I'm thinking that tomorrow I might have a good 4 to 5 hour afternoon into the evening. Of course, I thought that today, and we've had our power hour plus, but just knowing our schedule and what's happening tomorrow, we have a big event tomorrow daytime, but once we get home and get settled, I think I'll be free to do a bunch more gardening.